Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I am going to be discussing last night's game between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I only saw the second half of this game, so usually when that is the case, I would just pass on making a video. But these are two teams that I haven't really talked about since the season began, so I thought that this would be a good time to touch base and share some of my opinions on a more general scale of what these teams have done so far this season. We'll start off with the Blazers because they were able to win this game, and a large reason for that was because of Carmelo Anthony's outburst of scoring in the fourth quarter. Melo has gotten a lot of flack to start off this season because he has really struggled to shoot the ball efficiently while not being an impactful defender, and is not really someone who is helping the Trailblazers win games. However, I still think that he can be someone who can really help your team as an 8th or 9th man. And a large reason for that is because he's capable of having nights like tonight. Carmelo got going by hitting some catch-and-shoot three-point shots, and from there, he started to be a lot more aggressive, looking for his own shot, took a few isolation jumpers in the half-court offense, and he really just got going, and it kind of snowballed into being what was, I believe, a 17-point fourth quarter for Melo. And I think that this type of game, as I said before, really demonstrates where his value comes from. If you can have a player who can shoot the ball as well as Carmelo genuinely can at this point, spacing the floor out for players like Damian Lillard, then I think that that is really beneficial to your team. And the fact that he struggled so far this season, I think is attributed more to the way that this team is being coached than it is to Carmelo himself. The fact that Terry Stotts continues to run plays for Melo in the half court where he is just isolating and facing up against an opposing player when that's clearly not something that is an efficient style of offense at this point in Carmelo's career is the reason why he hasn't shot the ball well from the field so far this season. I think that if the Trailblazers focused a bit more on just letting him be a floor spacer, he could really help their team win in a more positive way. Sure, once he gets going, as he did tonight, you can start to look for those other opportunities for him to score. But for the most part, having him be a floor spacing player who is at least passable defensively is probably the biggest path for Melo to continue to have big impacts on games. But you have to give the guy a lot of credit. 24 points on 9 for 15 shooting and 4 for 5 from 3 is a fantastic game, especially for a player who went into the fourth quarter with just 7 points on the game. He kept the Trailblazers in this one, and he was a big reason why they were able to come away with a really solid victory over a playoff team, despite their their second and third best players being out in CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic, as they have been for an extended period of time at this point, with no end to those injuries in view. But this Trailblazers team has still been super competitive. After today's win, they moved to 14-10 and are sitting one game back of the Phoenix Suns for fourth place in the Western Conference. And after CJ went down, I don't think that anyone would have believed you had you said that this team would continue to play as well as they have. And for that reason, I think that Dame deserves a lot more credit and a lot more MVP hype than he seems to be getting. I certainly don't think he's in the top category with LeBron and Jokic and Embiid. But in that second category with like Kawhi Leonard and Steph Curry and Giannis, I think that Dame is right there with those guys. And this maybe wasn't his best game. He had 30 points and 7 assists still, but really struggled from the field, shooting just 6 for 21. The only reason why he was able to get up to that 30-point mark was because he got to the free throw line a ridiculous 15 times, making 14 of those. But Dame has just been so important to this team's success. He's the only true shot creator left standing on this roster, so there's just such a heavy load on his back night in and night out. But he's been playing outstanding, averaging 29 points and 7 assists, right around there, for the season. He can score from all three levels, get to the free throw line a lot, knock down difficult shots from well beyond the three-point arc, and he has elevated this team to the point that they are at. Without him, I think they'd probably be one of the worst teams in the league. So if that doesn't get you in the conversation for MVP, then I don't know what does. Gary Trent also had a nice game for the Blazers. He was the only other Trailblazer outside of Carmelo and Dame that had more than 15 points in this game. Trent had 19 points on 7 for 12 shooting and made 5 of his 7 3-point attempts. This is what he's known for. He's a knockdown shooter, and he continued to do that in today's game, knocking down a few huge shots for Portland in that fourth quarter. Now, the fact that he can do that and space the floor is so important, and it's been good to see him get some more consistent minutes for Portland over the last stretch of games. He's genuinely a positive player on both ends of the court. He's not a great on-ball defender on defense, but he certainly works very hard, and his shooting makes him a very good offensive player. So, Gary Trent is very useful for the Trailblazers, and he had a nice game tonight. There are a couple other guys on this team that gave Portland some good minutes. Anthony Simons played well. Robert Covington had a huge steal down the stretch, although he has continued to be a nothing offensively. And Enes Kanter actually had some pretty solid minutes, although I'm not a huge fan of his. He has played well in Jusuf Nurkic's absence. So, just a really good win for Portland, and I was really impressed that they were able to come away with this one. And, that's about all I have about them, so let's move on to the Sixers. This will probably be a bit briefer because they lost this game, but that certainly was to no fault of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Embiid had 35 points and 9 rebounds, was 13 of 25 from the field, made 8 of his 11 free throws. Overall, was just a very dominant player in the post. Kanter has always been someone who has struggled to defend one-on-one against opposing big men, and today was no different. Embiid was just able to do whatever he wanted. He was able to get Harry Giles in foul trouble. He was taking advantage of the Kanter matchup, and he ended up having this monster game, especially because of a huge second quarter in which he just could not seem to miss. So a really nice game from Joel, and his MVP candidacy is very strong. I think that I would probably vote for him second right now behind Jokic, and that's more of a testament to just how ridiculous Jokic has been so far this season than it is a critique of Embiid. But Joel has been great so far this season, and I am excited to see him continue to evolve as a player and continue to play at the high level that he has so far. Ben Simmons also had a good game, finishing with 23 points and 11 rebounds, as well as 9 assists, as he finished just 1 assist short of a triple-double. Was very efficient from the field, shooting 10 for 12, but the place where his impact was felt most strongly in this game was on the defensive end of the floor. He forced Damian Lillard to really struggle shooting the basketball, as Dame had 19 points in the first quarter but had just 11 in the rest of the game, and that's in large part due to Ben Simmons pretty much locking him up defensively. He was putting ridiculous amounts of pressure on Dame. Dame wasn't comfortable, and he was forced to take some shots that were not good looks at all. Simmons is defending at an all-NBA defensive team level so far this season, and he really stood out because of what he did on that end in tonight's game. Seth Curry is the last guy I wanted to quickly touch on here for the Sixers. He made some huge shots for this team, finished with 15 points on the game, and it's just been a very nice, consistent force for them as a catch-and-shoot jump shooter. That trade for them, swapping Josh Richardson for Seth Curry, has looked really good so far, and I am excited to see how well he can continue to complement the dynamic duo of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Overall, I think that I have covered everything that I wanted to cover Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought of this game in the comment section down below. That's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.